You are listening to the Mindshift podcast. My name is Erwin McManus, and in just a few moments, we'll be joined by my father, Erwin McManus. But I wanted to take a second and introduce this episode. This episode is a clipped episode putting together different questions from our community calls. If you're wondering what community is this, the Mindshift podcast community. It lives at mindshiftpod.com, and we use an amazing app called School. This is not a sponsored take, but we really love School. We use it for our arena community, and we're starting to build our Mindshift community directly on this app. You get access to a classroom, a calendar, and a homepage where there's tons of prompts. There's playlists, book recommendations, book clubs, leadership, ideas, and a lot of questions and a lot of answers. This is an amazing place for you to join and connect with like-minded and different-minded individuals. The core value at Mindshift is we reserve the right to change your mind. And if you're willing to step into that journey with us, join the community at mindshiftpod.com. I hope you enjoy this episode.
Mature people only attack problems, not people. The moment you start attacking that other person's character or characteristics, you've moved into a negative conversation.
The lie is once you start your own business, you're totally free. You are now your own slave, right? Because the only thing that matters is if you can pay the bills, survive, and then thrive.
When Kim and I were sleeping on the floor because we couldn't afford a bed, we were actually really happy. Establish the discipline of learning how to be grateful where you're at, so that if your life never changes, you're completely grateful and you have a deep sense of satisfaction with your life.
You are listening to the Mindshift podcast. My name is Erwin McManus, and I'm here with my dad, Erwin McManus. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's been an amazing day. We began with our arena call with our incredible arena community, so it's been a great day.
Hey guys, how you guys doing out there? It's crazy. We got 70 people on this call. Can we just get the chat going real quick? Let us know where you're coming from, how your day is going. Have you taken the 7 frequencies of communication? And I don't know if you have any other questions to add for the community up here.
Where you live, and that it would be great to know if you've taken the 7 frequencies assessment. If you have, what your primary frequency is. We'd love to know that too.
Amazing. And if you're unfamiliar with how this whole thing got started, there's a book called Mindshift. And this one's actually signed. I'm not giving this one away. But it's a great book, and that's kind of the concept of where we started. And, you know, I'm wearing the hat from the vintage Battle Ready hat from back in the day. There's a podcast that, you know, I think if you're on here, you know the origin story. And honestly, what the heck, Dad? I'm more nervous about this than I am almost anything else that we do.
This is exciting. And by the way, I do think we should give a book away today to someone.
Should we give the book away?
A book? Yeah, we should. Either Mindshift or 7 frequencies. You decide, whatever.
Let's do this. Let's incentivize asking questions.
Oh. At the end, we'll pick the best question.
At the end, we can have the people vote.
Ooh. Wow.
The top 3 questions.
Let's turn people against each other.
Okay. I think our furthest person, Jansen's in Indiana. We got Nashville, Tennessee, we got Maryland, we got Phoenix, we have Indianapolis, Australia, Charlotte. Okay, North Carolina, Minneapolis. Dad, you got anything else to say?
No, I'm just already reading through some of the statements and questions, and we really want this to be listener-driven on this Mindshift, on these episodes, and so we're going to be dependent on your questions, and if you don't have questions we're interested in, I'll just ask myself a question or ask Aaron a question.
That might be the only question you've ever asked me. These are amazing people in the Mindshift community. It's a new thing we're doing, and we're seeing how it works. We're going to go to our first question real quick. Mark Carroll, how you doing? Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Good, guys. How are you?
Good. What's up? Where are you from?
Jersey. I'm from Jersey.
Amazing. Are you the one flying the drones?
No, sir. I am not. I have not seen them. I wish I have, but it's okay. So could it be a personal question?
Absolutely.
Okay. I think it can transfer into other areas, but so I'm just going to be honest here. And I'm going to use me as an example, but I think I see it in multiple.
But you got to keep the question tight. You're already going too long, Mark.
So I just want to basically know that I have this dark side in me of controlling in a relationship. And I think it comes from insecurity. And even though the person could be trustworthy, I still have trouble trusting them. and I don't want to ruin the relationship. So I just want to know how I can deal with my insecurity in a healthy way.
That's a great question. Wow, way to take us deep and honest and authentic, Mark. Appreciate that vulnerability.
I resonate with that. I can be controlling at times when I feel insecure or afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And so a couple of things come to mind, and one of them is personal. Well, maybe they're all personal, really, but one of them is more transformative for you. When you have a hard time trusting, it actually, believe it or not, communicates to other people that you're not trustworthy. And so I don't think you want to communicate that you're not trustworthy. I think you want to communicate that you're a trustworthy person. So realize that when you're not trusting people, you're actually communicating that you're not trustworthy. And so a part of the way of building even your own arena of sphere of trust is by learning how to trust people, okay? And then the second, so that's just a personal thing. And then I want you to realize that if you're getting that feedback, or if other people have a hard time trusting you, it's because you're communicating that when you're not trusting other people. The second thing is realize that when you have a hard time trusting someone, especially like your girlfriend or your wife or someone you love, it's because of past wounds, past betrayal. And so you're projecting your past experiences on a present relationship. So if you do that, you will have the same outcome from your past in your present. And so one of the things you have to project ahead and go, oh, I know where this level of distrust and controlling nature results in. It results in the end of a relationship. So I don't want to have that end. So you need to realize that this person isn't doing anything, most likely, to generate distrust. You're bringing that into the relationship from past pain and hurt. And so the best way to move forward is simply this. Sit down with them and say, I need to explain, I care about this relationship enough to open myself up to you and say, I don't trust you because of me, not because of you. And so I want to be open about this because I want to change. So when you feel like I'm not trusting you, can you help me by knowing, first of all, that it isn't something you did. It's something that triggered something inside of me. And then secondly, allow me to verbalize it and process it. So as I'm getting better and learning how to trust more, I'm not creating irreversible damage to our relationship by not trusting you. And so it's sitting down and having that honest conversation saying, I'm bringing this into the relationship. It's a part of my struggle, but I care enough about growing this relationship to be vulnerable and honest and tell you this is where I'm at. And you can actually begin to build with that person a relationship of trust.
Great. Thank you.
It's so good. Thank you, Mark.
Hey, John, how are you?
Hello. You guys hear me?
Yeah.
We're here.
What's good? So I'm a commander, challenger, seer, and I struggle with communicating in abrasive ways. And I feel that if I'm not bold, I will, one, not be standing for my convictions, and two, I'll lose people's attention, especially online. So how would you define the difference between clickbait and like aggression and a compelling introduction in terms of getting people's attention and communicating your convictions?
John, where's home for you?
Charlotte, North Carolina for the next 2 months. Then we're going to Franklin, Tennessee.
All right. So you're in two places where being not just kind, but nice are actually highly valued, where diplomatic relationships are the relationships of the culture. How are you doing with friendships?
I have a high quality of them, but not a high quantity of them.
Yeah. And so what I would say is when you're a commander, challenger, seer, it's hard to have people in your life. And it's easy to offend a lot of people. And the problem is that you're seeing the world from a purely black and white relational spectrum. I'm either true to what I see, or I'm a hypocrite being nice to people. Would that be fair?
Yes.
And there is another option. I can be effective as a leader while treating people with love and respect, and actually accomplish greater outcome goals by being less blunt force trauma and more the wind, beneath people's sails. And I'd say
Dad, you can use me as an example. We have the same personality breakdown.
Yes, if Aaron could see the incredible art of diplomacy, he would probably 100x himself, and he'll probably become a billionaire. And it really has to do with understanding that kindness, one, is not a weakness, and bluntness is not a character trait. Does that make sense? There's a difference between speaking truth and being blunt. I love this phrase personally from my own worldview in the scriptures that says that you should always speak truth and love. And so I reversed that out a little bit, and I said that truth should never travel faster than love. And if you apply that to your business relationships, I would say affirming, caring, investing in people is the practical business expression of love. And if you don't build that, you don't have a platform for truth. So if you could see truth as your X-16, fighter, it's going to take off and blow up the world. But you don't have a runway for it to take off if you don't invest in people, express kindness, express affirmation, and love people. Does that make sense?
That's great.
Yeah. So don't change who you are. Expand your strategy to realize that most people don't relate well to being commanded, challenged, and then given a vision. It's the other way. Give them a vision, challenge them, and then use command.
It's helpful. Thank you.
I'm still going to be a billionaire, just so you know. And one thing that helped me, one thing that's helping me adjust, because I felt like I feel like you ever look at like Instagram insights or social media insights and it shows you like unfollows to follows? And it's always like really nice when you're like, oh, I got more follows than unfollows, but the unfollows are almost just like right under the follows, if you ever have that. And I'm like, I'm always just like right above 500, or I'm failing. But I feel like that with friendships and relationships. And then I just realized that, like, one, I fail my friendships when I overcommit myself to situations that don't make me feel like I'm actually like in my best like space. You know what I mean? So if I'm overtly social, I'm introverted. I don't know where you're at on that, but like we all have to be extroverted to some degree at some point. And so like I have to remember that I only have so much of that fuel in my tank, and to be really surgical with those moments. And then everyone else, the close friends get, the remnants. They get the good parts, they get the sarcastic parts, they get the real me. And the other parts are the real me. They're just the part that realizes, my sarcasm or my cutting or my intensity isn't wanted here or necessary here. It's not that it's not wanted. It's just not earned and necessary. That's really helped. And so like having those friends that I can blow, and I have those friends I'm that friend for those people who call and are like, I have to cuss myself out because I'm so angry at this person I want to fire, or XYZ, or deal we're trying to make. And so I think having those people that are great sounding boards, and then also realizing that so much of that is unnecessary, that all of our internal dialogue or monologue isn't necessary to get the things done in the world that we need to get done.
And by the way, John, you have incredibly strong leadership frequencies, incredibly strong. And so I'm like, you're going to lead and you're going to be powerful. It's just learn how to use it as a tool, to help people move forward so that you can optimize your vision.
Love it. Thanks, John. Hey, Amelia, our first question from a woman. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for asking. How are you doing? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Perfectly.
Okay.
And you're also the only one who unmuted themselves in a timely fashion.
Oh, well, I try to be timely. So my question it has to do with the 7 frequencies and shadows. And I have a lot of people close to me, and I'm sure everybody else does, who operate, I feel like, only in their shadows. That might be me exaggerating a bit. But I find it very difficult to communicate with them. I'm a motivator, healer, Maven, if that offers any perspective. But I find that my reaction is either to just be incredibly irritated by them and dismiss them, or that I will very quickly match them shadow for shadow. And so maybe some tools on how to, I think, stay in that positive frequency and not, I would say, add fuel to the fire or more confusion by speaking from also my shadow.
Right. And Amelia, I'm sure you've discovered that responding to a shadow with a shadow is like trying to put out a fire with kerosene.
Yes.
And the problem in many interactive dynamic relationships is that who starts the fight is not who anyone remembers is to blame. It's the last person who acts negatively that ends up being to blame. And one of the things you want, have you ever found yourself going, I didn't start it, why does everybody think it's my fault?
Yeah.
And it's your fault because you were the last one to bring a shadow to the conversation. Mm-hmm. So just in terms of your own self-protection, go, oh, if I bring the negative last, I'm going to be the only person everyone remembers is at fault. So even if it wasn't for a more noble purpose, protect yourself by not bringing your shadow to the table.
Yeah.
And then work yourself backwards going, that person's operating out of their shadow. So even my light may not help their shadow. Like just because you come, because the theory is this, they're coming out me toxic out of their shadow. I'm going to come out with love and affirmation and I'm going to be a motivator and a healer. It doesn't help because you can't change the drive of their inner frequency by the drive of yours. So you don't come at them with your positive frequency so that they'll change. You come at them with a positive frequency so that you can be a better human being. Okay. All right. In those moments, almost nothing will bring them out of their toxic frequency. Mm-hmm. So you almost have to give it oxygen. You have to give it room or space so that person can recalibrate themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So don't try to fix them when they're at their worst.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's hard.
I know.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have something to say. Dad, one of the things that because I got in a fight last week. That sucked. But one thing that I realized is or someone in the comments, Serena said, so what you're telling us is that we got to start the fight. So that you're not the last one to use the shadow.
That is not what I'm saying.
A couple of things like, how do you, because I think in arguments, like everyone, like, how do I say this?
You can argue without using your shadow.
Yeah, but how do you fight well? Can we talk about this a lot on the podcast? Because I get into so many of them. How do you argue well? How do you, like, sometimes conflict is unavoidable. So how do you have conflict in a way that both sides can hear it, right? Because I find that I'm more prone to conflict. I don't mind it. But afterwards, it's a conflict with other people. Sometimes people are just like, I can't do that ever again. I'm not your friend anymore. Where I'm like, no, if we're not really, I've said this, I said it on the pod, we're not really friends until we've had some kind of conflict, whether it's a conversation or an argument or a disagreement of beliefs or, ideologies. Until then, we're just two people who don't really know each other.
Yes. But I also want to give the contrast to that. Just because you had a fight doesn't make you better friends.
Well, it's how you come out the other end, right? So how can you establish an exit plan in a fight?
Mature people only attack problems, not people.
So I'm pressing you, but is there practical language that you could on-ramp that conversation?
Yeah. When you're in a fight, focus on the problem. Don't focus on the person. And it's the moment you start attacking that other person's character or characteristics, you've moved into a negative conversation. You have to stay focused on the problem that is actually real between you, or that's going on. And you should never assume negative intent. And there will be negative intent, and there may be negative intent, But the moment you impose negative intent on another person, you make them defensive. And so it's so much better to ask for understanding and say, this really bothered me and I don't understand why you did that or what motivated that. And you may discover very quickly that their motivation or their perspective wasn't at all what you thought. And I've been married 41 years, and I can tell you at least half of the fights I've had with Kim is that she misheard what I said, because she already knew in her head what she thought I was going to say. So she didn't hear what I said. She heard what I thought I said. I'm going to take it deeper. I've woken up where Kim was mad at me because of something I said to her in a dream that she had. And I'm like, how can I be responsible for what I said to you in a dream? Because that person in your dream wasn't me, it's you. And she goes, I'm still mad at you. And the truth is, that's also what happens when you're awake. People fight over what they think you said more than what you said. They fight over what they think you're implying, not what you actually meant. And they fight over what they think your intention is. And they think they know your intention better than you know yourself. So you said that because, and you go, no, that's not why I said that. And it's so important in life to always give person the benefit of the doubt and let them prove themselves wrong to you rather than prove themselves right to you.
Hey, Alicia, how you doing?
Me, is it my turn?
What's up? How you doing, Alicia? What's your question?
Well, okay, so it comes from, I'm almost done watching it. From the B-side, like in May, about 8 months ago, you talked about your childhood and basically the concept of before and the before, the after, and the in-between that no one talks about the journey of how you got there. That's the hardest part, it is. And I'm sure there were times, if you could expound on that a little bit more, when you were just like, is this worth it? Do I quit? Do I not pursue it? I don't know. What do you do when just nothing is working out and you're so overwhelmed and you're just like, how do you get centered? How did you protect? How did you get to the after? Like the process is, a lot of times people don't understand it. You don't understand what's happening and you're just trying to simply fight to be who you are, I guess. And I don't know. I'm sure you had times of discouragement, right? Like, what did you do?
Yeah, I think I had a delusional sense of happiness where even when my life was really hard, I really found ways of being incredibly happy and to find joy. And I think a part of the challenge in our culture is that we think happiness is a destination you have to figure out how to arrive at, rather than a proper relationship to failure, frustration, struggle, and hardship. And we keep thinking, if I can just get through this, or if I can just find the right formula, or if I can just become enough of something or successful enough, then I'm going to actually enjoy my life and be happy. And it isn't true. I can tell you that if you're not happy in the struggle, you're not going to be happy in the success. So Lisa, I think for me, when Kim and I were sleeping on the floor because we couldn't afford a bed and our combined income was probably like $18,000-$20,000 a year between both of us working full time, we were actually really happy. To me, happiness is a discipline. And it's a perspective and a posture toward life. There's probably so much in your life you should be, if you step back, would be grateful for. And so much in your life right now that is what you wished for in the past. And you just can't focus on what's wrong. You can't focus on what the deficit is. You have to learn how to really celebrate where you are. You seem like a really awesome human being. I have a sense that there's so much for you to celebrate in your life. And I think it's taking time, establish the discipline of learning how to be grateful where you're at, so that if your life never changes, you're completely grateful and you have a deep sense of satisfaction with your life. And that's when you're gonna break the gravitational pull of what's holding you back.
Amazing. Thanks, Alicia. Hey, Jensen, how you doing?
Way back. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
There you
All
go.
right.
Hey, perfect. Hey, long time listener, first time caller. Really excited to be here. I have such a hard time with being in a current role career wise, and then seeing other opportunities arise and wanting to go jump and do that. So my entire career path has been like 1 year here, 1 year here, 1 year here, 3 years at this current role, but starting to feel that tendency, that shiny object syndrome, to go bounce and go do something else. So what would you suggest?
Well, Aaron, you want?
What was the 113?
That's how many years he stayed at jobs.
I know. Dad, sorry, unmute yourself, Jansen. What were the 3 jobs you had?
So I've bounced from lots of different career paths, but I've been a service advisor. Then I was a service manager at a custom motorcycle, motorcycle manufacturer. And now I've been a youth pastor for 3 years. Started a side hustle as a creative agency. And now that's taking off, pipelines building. And I'm starting to get the itch, but I'm being challenged by my mentor and boss, who I love dearly, to see if I can do both.
Do both what?
Do both the youth pastor and the doing the creative agency. Where are you in the world?
Northern Indiana, hot market up here.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter because you can plug into you can get Wi-Fi. You're good. Dad, what's your advice? What would you think? What do you think?
Well, it sounds like you're sort of this morning we were dealing with leadership styles in the arena, and it sounds like you're more naturally catalytic leader, that or it may be even a causal leader, but I think maybe catalytic where you like being in the beginning part, you completely lose interest once it feels like maintenance to you.
Yeah. I've used maintenance a lot with my therapist. Yes.
You see, and I'm free, and I can identify what your therapist is going to tell you. Yeah, and so some of it is your job's fault, but some of it is your lack. I'm going to be blunt. Your lack of creative interest in making your job fresh and new to you. Because if in 1 year you've already accomplished everything that was fascinating about that job, it means you left that job uninteresting. And so before you leave, you should actually go to your boss and go, a year ago this was a challenge, but now this is really easy. Yeah. And come with a strategy going, but I could do this. And if you imagine yourself at the next level and it's uninteresting to you, that's when you probably have to leave. And because but it seems to me like you probably are not going to be happy until you run or own your own business so that you can have massive freedom. The problem is that you're going to want to bail on yourself in 1 to 3 years. And unless you deal with this internal mechanism, this is a run trigger. When you hit a ceiling, you run rather than figure out how to break that ceiling. And so, go to your boss and go, have I fulfilled everything you need me to do? Is this, and if he says, actually, you might actually go, no, actually, I'm surprised that you've underachieved. That will put a fire inside of you, And so I would just have a really honest conversation with whoever's over you and go, this was such a challenge a year ago or 3 years ago. It's just not a challenge anymore. And so if I'm doing the job well, and I can do it on 20% of my time. Because here's the thing, Jansen, when you don't know something, it takes 100% of your effort to do it. But once you master it, it may only take 10 to 20%. In fact, it's almost shameful. You can do the same job with 10% of the effort. And so now you're going, what do I do with the other 90% of my energy? So you either need to apply it to how to help your organization elevate at a higher level, or then you're going to expand and figure out how to do something else to use that energy. I think the first thing you do is you owe your boss that conversation in case he says, oh, there's so much more you could bring to the table. And then you have to ask yourself, is that something that gives me passion?
Yeah, definitely. That's super helpful. Thank you so much.
Great.
I think my 2 cents would be this: they call it an itch for a reason, right? And because I get that itch, he gets that itch all the time. We scratch each other's backs over here, like don't run, don't give up. We got this. We can do this 1 more week, And I think a couple of things. I mean, one, I essential. There's like essential, non-essential workers that we like. Everyone was deemed that during COVID, right? Essential, non-essential. And I think how to be an essential worker and a great employee is to get to the level in which your boss loves you so much that you are so essential for him that when you come to him and go, "Hey, I'm ready to start my company," he goes, "I'll be your first client." Right? Because I think there's so many people, like a girl named Tess, who's a part of our community, was our director, head art director for Mosaic for the longest time. And when she quit, we begged her not to quit. She already told us. She told after baby number 2, she was going to take like 6 months to a year and like reconfigure her life, start a company, do the thing. So she gave us years, and I dreaded that second kid. I was praying they did not have that second kid, and I'm the godfather to the first one. But when she quit, it was, well, you always have a door open here. So when you go start that company for marketing, or whenever you go do that next thing, we want to be your first client. We want to bring you on. So she's our first call whenever we have anything needing assets or creative out of our teams. So I think it's leave in such a way where they don't feel like you've left. Like, still be around. You know, I love when people who used to work here come by and stop by and bring coffees and say hello and take people to lunch and kind of plug in and give advice or opinion or ask questions. You can always be being a part of a church. That's our call as spiritual people who are Christians, right? I follow Jesus, and part of the call is to be a part of a church in some way or form. The other side of it would be, do that thing, do the business until you cannot physically do it and do the other job well. And then I would even try to get to employee 1 or 2 while you're building the business. Manage them while you're doing your actual job, because you will never have more freedom. The lie is once you start your own business, you're totally free. You are now your own slave. Because like the only thing that matters is if you can pay the bills, survive, and then thrive, right? And so I think the greatest place to be is having someone else pay for your ability to take risks. You know, as long as you're open and honest about that and transparent, I think there's no problem with doing both. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
A couple more questions, and we're out of here. Hey, Jessica, how you doing?
How are you?
I feel like you got to introduce both of you and then let us know where you're from.
Yeah, so this is Garrett, my husband, Jessica. We're from the East Bay, California. And so my question is, I'm a professor, commander, and challenger. And I naturally have this God gift issue that I have a problem with, I think, the tone of my communication oftentimes.
He nods, yes. I don't know if you should be doing that, my man.
And so.
Wait a minute, your husband is nodding very, very dangerously next to you.
Away.
Yes. And I obviously don't mean to communicate in that frequency and in that tone, but I don't know if it's because of my work and I just have not broken away from that. But how do I manage that?
Well, it's a big question. So I'm going to give you the short answer. Your professor frequency is not the problem. It's your shadow of the professor that's the problem. Okay. So a lot of people go, how do I fix my frequency? Remember, when your authentic frequency is flowing, it's usually not a problem. It's being used really, really well. So you're tired. You know, do you work outside of home?
I do, yes.
So you use all your energy there. You're exactly the right person there. You really manage your frequencies there. And then you come home and, I'm sorry, tell me your husband's name? Garrett. And then she comes home, she's low energy, so she's going to go right to her shadow. And because I'm guessing you're not using that shadow at work as much. And so some of you have to...
Wait, hold on. I think she might be. She rolled her eyes like that was a yes. What do you do?
What's the shadow again, if you can remind me?
The shadow of the professor is being a diminisher, where you maybe talk down or demean or are short and tempered.
It's a possibility. I think unintentionally, I think so. In my line of work, I can absolutely see that.
Okay. What do you do? Wait, hold on. What do you do?
I'm a family law attorney.
Well, of course, you're a lawyer, so you struggle with depression.
That's not what this is about.
You're not wrong, but yes. But
No, I know. I'm being funny, but I'm also just trying to speak into your soul. And all right.
not like anxiety, but
Anxiety, yeah, they're sisters. Yeah, you know. All right, so you have to realize to be really great at your job, you have to almost train your brain to be cynical, skeptical, emotionless, and directive.
okay.
And so to be a great lawyer, you have to design your brain to think in a way that actually makes it harder for you to be your best human self. So when you're looking at documents or cases, you have to realize, okay, that's the part of my brain that's operational. But before I talk to a human being, I've got to learn how to take a beat and take a deep breath. And before I walk in the room with the humans, I can't walk with that same brain because that's my technical, legal brain. And human beings are not the same as a legal document. They're not casework. And so what ends up happening is that you take the brain that makes you successful, makes you great at what you do, and then you apply it to humans, which makes you bad at doing that. And you would be so much better if you just learned to take a beat, take a deep breath, and almost like center yourself and go, I'm going to be the best version of Jessica. And I got to go talk to people who are probably going to irritate me. They're going to slow me down. They're going to be inefficient because that's what humanity is. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to add to that because you cannot create efficiency and excellence in an environment of fear.
Okay.
And so if people are afraid of you or afraid of how you might react or respond or what you might say, they'll actually mess up more and they will reaffirm to you that they're incompetent. But what's actually happening is they're freezing psychologically because they're bracing for a negative conversation. And you don't even mean it as a negative conversation. You're just dealing with humans the same way you would do with a caseload, right? You know? And so you have to realize, I got to learn how to shift my brain into human mode. Humans are slower. They require more emotional, attention. They require a ramp up for dealing with really complex and difficult issues. And I would say if you did that, it would really even help Garrett and in your relationship with him, because he loves the human part of you that he has experienced and made him fall in love with you. And then he probably just sort of like ducks and weaves when he's dealing with the artful, skilled attorney that you are. Would that be fair?
Yes.
Yep.
On both ends, yes.
Okay, now we got to wrap this up.
All right.
Okay. Thank you guys so much. And Garrett, we're praying for you because you guys seem wonderful. But that head nod might have just been, something you can't come back from. But we're all on your side. Guys, thank you so much. We ran long today. Oh, Daniel Barnes, you're back. Hold on. Last question. Hey, man. You there?
Hey. Yeah.
You
Can you hear
disappeared
me?
and then you came back. Hey, yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah. Really quickly, I get to speak for 1 to 3 minutes every week at a business networking meeting, and I'm diving into all the content on the arena. But just curious, when I only have 1 to 3 minutes, it's like, where should I put my focus initially of like the 5 elements, the 3 principles, and it is like trying to communicate information to change the way people act. But I'm just curious, with that limited amount of time, where should I put that focus as I'm like really cultivating that skill?
Yeah, you need to start at the end. If you get 1 to 3 minutes, look, I did a talk in 4 minutes that changed my life.
And the best part of it was in minute 4.
Yeah, I began as if I'd been talking for 45 minutes and you just had to catch up with me if you missed the first 45 minutes of my talk. So I began at the end. So it's almost like you have to walk up there and start mid-sentence, solving the problem at hand. And does that make sense? So in 1 to 3 minutes, you have to have a sense of urgency.
Give an example.
What's that, Aaron?
Can you give us an example?
I would go. So if I walk up there and I go, pick a subject. Well, what's your subject that you have to deal with, Daniel?
What I'm going to be talking about on Thursday is basically how we need to have actual referrals, not just leads. So we're a part of this group, and it needs to actually make financial sense for people to be a part of this group. And if we're not sending quality leads that are like making other people money, then kind of what are we doing? And what I'm thinking about literally starting with like throwing money, like change on the ground and going, hey, if we're not here for this purpose, what we're literally doing is throw change on the ground, is throwing money away, and like having that be like the starts. But that's what I'm going to be talking about on Thursday.
Right. So don't get up there mad at them, because I feel your frustration with them. All right.
Instead of throwing coins on the floor, I would have them all take the money out of their wallet and start taking all of their money. You'd be like, this is what's happening when you're leaving money on the floor. It isn't my change, because who cares about change? It's I'm taking all of your dollars from you. Someone else in this room is taking money out of your wallet when you do X, Y, and Z.
Okay.
You know, like I would probably walk up and go, I am one person away from making the greatest breakthrough in my life, for my company, for my, for my yearly commitments. And that one person away is someone I don't know. It's someone you know. And that one person away for you is someone you don't know. It's someone I know. This is why there's a power in referrals. This is why what we do together and connecting each other to people in the world is the most significant thing we do, because people are the network that create our future. And the way that we do that is by investing in each other, the people that we know, because someone that I've closed may need something you need, and someone that you've closed may need something I need. Imagine if we actually saw ourselves as a symbiotic team that was always referring our most interesting and dynamic people to each other. How would that change the way all of us move forward together? That's what I would do.
His is better. Don't do mine.
I liked yours, Aaron. I just have to plant people and be like, hey, have $100, like plant a few people to be like, and then I'm actually going to take the money. So I don't know.
Plants are good, by the way.
Yes.
Okay, you have to hit me after, and we got to talk about this in the arena at some point, because this is awesome. I want to know how it goes.
And I'll grab some of my great sales friends and we'll bring them to the arena and we'll have this conversation.
This is such a great work. Like I'll hit you later. I'm gonna ping you. Thanks, Daniel.
Gotcha.
Hey guys, thank you so much for being a part of this live episode. Honestly, we won't normally go this long. Thanks for hanging in and being a part of this. Share this with your friends. Invite people for the next one. We're going to put the next few calls in the calendar. We just wanted to get this one fired off quick to kind of introduce what we're doing. But thank you guys so much. Thank you for the questions. I'm going to post a thread in the community asking you guys to vote. And then I'll do a little poll and we'll do the top 3 and then we'll send you guys some gifts. We have new merch that is coming out exclusively for this community on Friday. We will release it to the world, but we'll do something exclusive for you guys, and it'll be Friday in the back end of the Mindshift podcast community. Guys, thank you so much.
Thank you for joining the Mindshift community. We're excited about the future. God bless you guys.
Bye, guys.